Our goal is to do the best we can do and to be the happy band.
To be a member of the Overton Band is one of the best things in the world.
We're going to go ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da, and
we're doing approximately twice what we did last year in half the amount of time.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11.
We strive for perfection in everything we do, be it marching, jazz, or orchestra.
Is this right? Fix it then.
You can go anywhere, pick up an instrument and play, and people will be interested.
Jack Huffman lights his cooker first thing in the morning. It's molasses making time, and the cauldron has to be the proper temperature. But before you can begin cooking up a batch of sorghum molasses, you first have to get the raw material from the field. Out here, they harvest it the old-fashioned way, by hand. Most agree the hardest part of making molasses is harvesting the sweet sorghum. These people are stripping the leaves by hand and later will cut it by hand as well.
It's nothing like the old-timey way of doing it by hand. It's the only way we can keep our quality up.
From the fields, it goes to the press, where the sugary sap is squeezed out of it. And from there, it goes into the cooker, where Jack Huffman and others keep a watchful eye on it.
My whole family was raised up has a reputation of being good cooks, so I just learned the art and tried to stay with it.
Workers constantly skim the boiling sap to remove impurities. It takes about an hour and a half to cook 5 gallons of sap down to 1 gallon of molasses. And then it goes right into the containers. And Huffman makes no bones about how his efforts stack up against others.
I'm not knocking them molasses, but I'm just saying that this is some of the best you'll find anywhere in the state of Tennessee.
And the proof is in the pudding, or rather in this case, the molasses. In Millington, Tennessee, Joe Larkins, WREG News Channel 3.
Later in sports, Glenn Carver has a closer look at the success of the Air Force Falcons in Memphis. And Steve Haislip will show you how to shoot great pictures with your home video camera. Stay tuned for the second class of Camcorder College. If you're one of the millions who got a home video camera this Christmas, you may be looking for a little help on how to work it. Well, tonight in his special assignment, Camcorder College, Steve Haislip shows you the do's and don'ts of shooting. Then we'll have an address for you.
The beauty of home video cameras is they are so easy to use.
These now have auto iris, so that adjusts to the light that you have coming in. They're all auto white balance.
And most all have autofocus.
Simply put it on your shoulder where the weight is supported back here and start shooting.
Start shooting. Well, it sounds easy enough, but in reality there are some basic shooting tips you should know to make your videos more enjoyable to watch.
What you don't want to do is over-zoom.
We asked News Channel 3 photographers who shoot video professionally to give us the do's and don'ts. Here's Dan Bassell, who says keep the camera still.
Yeah, what happens is when you're at home watching the videotape that amateurs shoot, often you got a lot of zooms, a lot of pans, and quite frankly, it's pretty boring to watch. You spend all your time zooming and panning, and that precious tape time gets lost.
Photographer Mike Green says lighting is critical.
Yes, you want the subject to have as much light as the background, and actually, if you can, a little more light. The cameras are light sensitive, so actually what the camera is doing is reacting to the strongest light that you have, which is on the background, which is on the tree itself in the background. Now, if you turn a light on the foreground, turn a light on Steve, then you'll see it's reacting to the foreground light, and it gives you a much nicer looking picture.
Shoot conservatively
if you can, because there's nothing worse than watching an hour of little Johnny opening, you know, every present and ripping every piece of paper under the Christmas tree.
Scott also suggests getting reaction shots.
Okay, for every action when you're shooting, you have a reaction. So for instance, in this, you're shooting Florence giving Leslie a present. Now you need to get Leslie's reaction. Okay, now you get a reaction to Florence. And it makes the scene more interesting instead of just one wide shot.
And Dan suggests you move closer to whatever you're shooting.
If you move your camera directly into your subject and you're real close without zooming, all your video will appear to be a lot smoother than if you zoom in. If you zoom in, everything's going to be shaking around, and the closer you are, the smoother your zooms and or your video will be.
Knowing what to shoot and how to shoot it can make precious memories more enjoyable to watch. Steve Hayslip, WREG News Channel 3 tonight.
Tomorrow night, what accessories do you need, and are they worth the money? If you have a home video camera, you can become part of our News Watcher network, too. For information, simply write News Watcher, News Channel 3, 803 Channel 3 Drive, Memphis, 38103. Now, if we use your video in the air, we'll pay you, and we'll also mention your name.
Well, it's not nearly as easy as what you might think.
On summer nights, it's not unusual to find the spotlights of frog hunters piercing the darkness along the Hatchie River near Bolivar. But Brett Denton and Jason Lindsay don't hunt frogs like everybody else. They grab them.
A good friend game warden of mine, he came out here and showed me one night, and then I showed it to Brett, and he and I have been hooked on it ever since.
The tools are basically the same. You need a bright light to help locate the frogs sitting on the bank, and you need a sack to put them in. But there's one thing missing from conventional frog hunting, the gig.
Get him?
Frog grabbers emphasize there's a big difference between grabbing and gigging. With gigging, you actually spear the frogs and they're hurt and you end up having to take them home. By grabbing, after you catch them, you can release them if you want.
Now, let me get this.
There are occupational hazards to frog grabbing. Since you actually have to catch the frog, that sometimes means fighting tree branches and mud, and all while watching out for the occasional snake. Still, Denton and Lindsay like the challenge, and they like the conservation side of it, too.
I guess he's junior.
We love to go up and grab the little ones, and just to grab them, we can release them. Matter of fact, this whole year, we've grabbed several times this year and hadn't brought a frog home. We've let them all go.
Oh!
Both these guys have been hunting frogs for about 5 years now, and neither plans to give up grabbing anytime soon. They say, after all, what other type of hunting can you actually brag about the one you let get away? On the Hatchie River, Joe Larkins, WREG News Channel 3.